ball in the basket. How the Nuggets have failed with Balkan Buddy Ball. The Nuggets, the team that have always been one of the most underwhelming teams in terms of really anything last year. They just about scraped up with 33 wins and barely creating a culture of youth in this first year of the rebuilding stage. The team, well, it did so much that it didn't really impress in the, might of the Western Conference. On top of that, the team played too well to really tank the season like the reputation of the Sixers and the Wolves, so couldn't get any potentially great new players in the college. Also, the team didn't really have much people waiting on bated breath, because it sort of just continued on in its way. So the season is somewhat of a continuation of the last one, with some major differences, because the Balkan Buddy Ball has arrived and really exploded on the team. It carried a complete change of pace and made the team, well, different in a lot of ways. In some ways we did want it, and some ways, well, we couldn't quite hope for. Nurkic and Jokic teamed up with the presence and promise of making it work in the preseason. Mike Malone just wanted it to happen and said, hey, why not? Whether or not we wanted it, it happened, and it went in a different step than maybe we could imagine. First of all, while I don't believe the name, this thing to start with, it was a proper success, I do believe it was a good risk, because it basically, taught the team a lesson, and obviously it did. Nurkic, who just dominated the preseason, especially in low post scoring, and on top of that, in defensive rebounding, continued the trend throughout the start of the season, with Jokic only amplifying his moves. In October, the team went 55 rebounds per game and 42 defensive rebounds per game, which is pretty massive. And the team, dominated the whole season, the league. And then the team switched surprisingly defensive. It pretty much was a mirroring of the last season, where we kind of looked offensive. It pretty much continued the trend from the preseason going into the regular season, with some good old breakout help from Moutier and scoring preseason, and also Gallo. This great duo dreams, however, didn't pan out. The team together were having what sounded good on paper, but in practice proved otherwise. The team of the Beast Ball didn't quite work out between the two. Instead, a lot of awkward encounters, as we realised with the company. It could be as good, but it didn't work out in the high post, with the team, not really having some great moments with offensive rebounds, but a lot of time just being slow and stagnant on offense. A great example of this was in the Golden State regular season match, which kind of again mirrored the preseason match, where ultimately Jokic and Nurkic played separately quite a bit and only worked as a duo early on, where they couldn't really match up to the defensive teams and only played well against the Pelicans. But early on, they didn't seem to work too well on the same starting lineup. And this continued as a trend. Ultimately, I think I'll put it down to anything I would say that the two, well, they were inefficient, showing in their lack of work together. They just didn't work, to be honest. And they couldn't quite pass together, and they could dunk on their own, but together they just didn't work too well. The mid-range was off again. When they shot, it was close up, it just looked ugly, and it always missed, and Jokic looked surprisingly bad. A great example of a good duo on the team would be Moutier and Harris, or Gallo and Moutier, or even obviously Chandler and Barton. I mean, they're good duos. They're duos that work, and the duos that put on spectacular plays. It didn't happen with Jokic and Nurkic. The team, well, it was inefficient, becoming a very low plus and minus team, and just about becoming one of the worst duos in the whole of the league. So whenever they're together, Malone, even the sparing times he put them together, it wasn't good. It was not good, and we all pointed out, we all knew it didn't work. So the system failed. It definitely affected the team with arguably strange decisions by Malone to place Nurkic on more minutes than Jokic. A new approach due to him possibly favouring Nurkic. So when they were put on separately, Nurkic was given the reins, really, as you would say. And when completely sort of different direction than last year, where Jokic was played a bit more, putting Nurkic on the spotlight, and really Nurkic did show up quite well. I can tell that the direction they're going with is more aggressive with Nurkic, but I think they should revert back to a different system, which I'll mention here. It did take. Let's talk about the Balkan Buddy Ball for a second. But it taught the team a valuable lesson. Playing the men separately let them prosper in their own areas, with Jokic seeming a good fit in the starting lineup, in my opinion. Starting lineup working like clockwork as a seemingly a good fit. Good solid centre to support Midier and also Nelson Harris with the movement. Good and the clever. The clever passing that we have seen a lot last year. Meanwhile, Nurkic can start the second unit, being one of a kind of player that really stands out. Which means will play a great advantage to the team when the other team takes out their second unit as well, because invaluable on defense and a great size mismatch with possibly Barton at adding to the points. Also, it will be interesting to see how he deals with the newbies on the team, or the green players like Hernan Gomez, Murray and Beasley, and he will definitely help them out a lot, but also get to take the reins and get to use that second unit as a chance to really perform up his aim and be a leader, because he's definitely probably a better leader than Jokic in my opinion, so I think he'll work well there. And I think seems, if you don't like this at all, they can just obviously interchange the two centers in the starting lineup, but never put them together. The question does precede me though, that maybe the Nuggets thought about this and said, well, okay, Balkan Buddy Ball doesn't work. Doesn't mean we need a bigger presence or smaller presence. Now I think it needs to revert back to the smaller presence, and again, they know that these two don't work together well together, so they're probably not going to go for that, obviously, the same presence. And I think the question is, do they need maybe another centre on the team in case one of them gets really injured like last year? I don't think so. I think the team needs to play more stretch. This means that just like Jokic at the forward position, they need a mixture of big plays, big players out there, and also efficiency, which I think they can garner from players who are kind of bigger but who have maybe smaller minutes, more stagnated, and more steps between the two. So you maybe have Jokic on early, then Nurkic a bit later on, and also stretching the positions, having say Hernan Gomez play two positions, or even just having the forwards kind of interchange with the centers and play through them. I think this would be a good play to go, and I think changing it from Balkan Buddy Ball to best of both ball is a good position to go. Also, come on guys, Chandler and Fareed, they're great as well, so don't forget about them. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this episode. Obviously, hopefully you like this episode. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to Ball in the Basket, and I'll do more videos just like this. This was Nuggets Report episode 1. I'll be doing one of these probably on a weekly basis throughout the NBA season for the Nuggets, so that'll be a good thing to do, and hopefully you keep on check. So again, I'll have a topic for each episode. I won't just be talking about the matches. I will, though. Obviously it's a big match. I might be capping up on some big matches for the team, how I think they're going and how I think their approach and style is. Obviously, if you enjoy that topic and you think that's cool, then obviously comment below and say you enjoyed this episode. So yeah, obviously Nuggets Report. I'll be doing separate videos for just random NBA episodes obviously as well, and you can look forward to seeing that in the near future. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.